Caught my girlfriend cheating with my stepbrother because she wanted more excitement, so I kicked them both out. Hey Reddit. I've been with my girlfriend, Lisa, for 3 years. We met in college, and at first, everything felt like a dream. She was funny, smart, and made life feel effortless. My stepbrother, Jake, on the other hand, has always been the reckless type. He never really cared about boundaries or consequences, but I never thought he'd stoop this low. Growing up, Jake and I were never really close. We were just forced into the same family when my mom married his dad. He was the golden boy, always getting away with things because he could charm his way out of any situation. Meanwhile, I was the one who had to work for everything, the one who stayed responsible while he partied and did whatever he wanted. Still, I never saw him as a direct threat to my life. That changed the moment I found out what he and Lisa did behind my back. It started with small things I brushed off at first. Lisa started getting distant, always on her phone, laughing at messages she wouldn't let me see. When I asked her about it, she'd just say it was nothing important or just a friend from work. I didn't want to be that paranoid boyfriend, so I let it go. Jake, who never used to visit much, suddenly started coming over more often, acting like we were all one big happy family. I assumed he was just trying to be better, maybe trying to fix our strained relationship. If only I had known the real reason. One night, I came home earlier than expected. Lisa had told me she was going to have a self-care night and just wanted to relax alone. That was fine, I understood the need for space. But as soon as I stepped inside, something felt off. There was an extra pair of shoes by the door. At first, I thought maybe she had a friend over, but then I heard it. Whispering. Giggling. And then. Something that made my stomach drop. I froze in place, my mind refusing to accept what I was hearing. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely think. I took slow steps toward our bedroom, my hands shaking as I reached for the door handle. I pushed it open, and there they were, Lisa and Jake, tangled in my bed like I was the intruder in my own home. The moment they saw me, everything stopped. Lisa's face turned pale, her mouth opening and closing as if she was searching for an excuse. Jake, on the other hand, had the audacity to smirk, like he didn't even care. That was the moment I snapped. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I just stood there, letting the betrayal sink in. Lisa tried to get up, reaching for me, but I stepped back, my voice calm but ice cold. Get out. She started crying, pleading with me to listen, but I wasn't interested in whatever pathetic excuse she had. Jake, still sitting on the bed like he had no shame, chuckled. Relax, man, it's not like we planned this. It just happened. That was the last straw. I lunged at him, my fists connecting with his smug face before he could react. He stumbled back, cursing as he wiped the blood from his lip. Lisa screamed, telling me to stop, but I wasn't done. Get out, I repeated, my voice shaking with rage. Both of you. Now. Lisa kept crying, saying it was a mistake, that she didn't mean for this to happen. But when I asked her why, when I demanded to know what I had done to deserve this, her answer shattered whatever little respect I had left for her. I don't know, she sobbed. I wanted more excitement. Things got too comfortable with you, and Jake was just there. More excitement. That's what my 3 years with her amounted to, something too comfortable. I didn't say another word. I just grabbed a bag and started throwing her stuff into it, shoving it at her until she had no choice but to leave. Jake, still rubbing his jaw, muttered something about me overreacting before walking out like he hadn't just destroyed my trust. The moment they were gone, I collapsed onto the couch, my hands gripping my head as everything sank in. The person I loved, the woman I had planned a future with, had betrayed me with my own stepbrother. And for what? A cheap thrill? I spent the next few hours in a daze, trying to process everything. I didn't tell anyone at first. I was too ashamed. But the anger wouldn't go away. The next morning, I packed up every single thing that reminded me of her and threw it out. I changed the locks, blocked their numbers, and cut them both out of my life. But of course, things didn't end there. A few days later, Lisa started reaching out again. First, it was texts, then voicemails. She begged me to talk, saying she made a mistake and that she still loved me. She even had the nerve to say she could make it up to me if I gave her another chance. Jake, on the other hand, was radio silent, probably thinking I'd just let it go. But I wasn't about to let either of them walk away from this without consequences. I had dirt on both of them, and if they thought they could just move on without repercussions, they were dead wrong. That's when I decided I wasn't going to let them off easy. If Lisa wanted to talk, fine, I'd let her. But she wasn't going to like what I had to say. And as for Jake? Let's just say I had a plan to make sure he regretted every second of what he did. I wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. Update. I took a few days to gather my thoughts before responding to Lisa. She had been bombarding me with texts and voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. At first, she was apologetic, begging for another chance. Then, when I didn't respond, she started making excuses. She claimed she was confused, that she had been feeling neglected, that she didn't mean to hurt me. But the one that really set me off was when she tried to shift the blame onto me. She said that I was too safe, too predictable, and that she craved something more spontaneous. I finally decided to reply, but not because I wanted to fix things. I wanted to see just how deep her lies would go. I sent her a short message: meet me at the cafe near my place. 1 hour. She responded immediately, saying she'd be there. When I arrived, she was already sitting at a table, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were puffy, and she had this pathetic, hopeful look on her face, like she thought I was going to forgive her. The moment I sat down, she launched into her speech about how she made a mistake and how she still loved me. She swore up and down that it didn't mean anything and that she was just caught up in the moment. I let her talk. I wanted to hear everything, every excuse she had lined up. But the more she spoke, the angrier I got. She wasn't sorry for what she did, she was sorry she got caught. She wasn't regretful, she was just scared of losing the stability I gave her. When she finally finished, she reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I leaned in and spoke calmly, my voice steady. You didn't make a mistake, Lisa. You made a choice. A choice that ruined everything. And now, you have to live with it. Her face crumbled. She started crying, saying she didn't want to lose me. That's when I dropped the final bombshell. You're not just losing me. Everyone's going to know what you did. I had already told a few close friends about what happened, but now I was done keeping it quiet. I was going to make sure everyone in our social circle knew exactly what kind of person she was. She panicked, begging me not to do this, saying it would ruin her reputation. But I didn't care. She had no problem ruining my trust, my relationship, my home. Why should I protect her from the consequences? I stood up and left, ignoring her cries. Later that night, I started letting people know. One by one, I told our mutual friends, and the reactions were exactly what I expected. Some people were shocked, others were disgusted. A few tried to defend her, saying, people make mistakes, but I shut that down quickly. This wasn't some drunken one-time thing, she had been sneaking around with my stepbrother behind my back. Speaking of Jake, he finally decided to crawl out of whatever hole he was hiding in. Another update. I hadn't heard from Jake since the night I threw him out, but apparently, he figured enough time had passed for things to blow over. He texted me, acting like nothing happened. His message was casual, as if he didn't just stab me in the back. Yo, bro. Can we talk? I laughed when I saw it. The audacity of this guy. I ignored him, but he kept texting, acting like I was the one being unreasonable. He actually had the nerve to say that it wasn't a big deal and that I needed to get over it. That's when I lost it. I called him, and the second he picked up, I let loose. I tore into him, calling him out for the snake he was. And you know what he did? He laughed. He actually laughed and said, dude, it was just sex. You're being dramatic. That was the moment I realized Jake wasn't just a bad brother, he was a garbage human being. He didn't feel bad at all. In his mind, I was the one overreacting. That's when I made a decision. I was going to hit him where it hurt. Jake had always been reckless, but he had one thing he cared about, his reputation. He liked to pretend he was this chill, laid-back guy, but deep down, he thrived on people liking him. He had a job that depended on networking and connections. So, I made sure everyone knew what he did. I sent out a message to some of his friends, people in his social circle, and let them know exactly what he did. Word spread fast. Within days, he started getting backlash. People started distancing themselves from him, and he didn't like that one bit. He tried to do damage control, but it was too late. He called me, furious, saying I was ruining his life. I told him, no, you did that yourself. That was the last time I spoke to him. Final update. It's been a few weeks since everything went down, and I won't lie, it's been rough. Betrayal like this doesn't just fade overnight. But I refused to let them drag me down. Lisa kept trying to contact me for a while, but after I made it clear I wanted nothing to do with her, she finally stopped. Last I heard, she tried dating someone else, but it didn't last. I guess excitement isn't enough to build a real relationship on. As for Jake, he got what was coming to him. His reputation took a serious hit, and he lost some key connections that he needed for work. Last I heard, he was struggling to get back into people's good graces, but that's not my problem. As for me, I'm moving on. It hasn't been easy, but I've been focusing on myself. I started hitting the gym again, picked up some old hobbies, and honestly, I feel freer than I have in years. The biggest lesson I've learned from all of this? Never ignore the red flags. People who betray you once will do it again. And sometimes, cutting people off completely is the only way to move forward. So, to anyone who's ever been in a situation like mine, know your worth. Don't waste time on people who don't respect you. Life is too short for that. That's all for today's video, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, And join us next time for more exciting content. See you next time.